Momentum. It's hard to stop once it gets started. And boy, it's awesome to see when it gets rolling. And that's what we're going to be breaking down today. Momentum. I'm Odess, and this is Secured. Let's get into it. All right, so first up, we always do these interesting news. We hear this little round robin of things that have gone on. Speaking of momentum, last week I was at HID Origin event in Austin. It was on a Friday, flew in, flew out. I was only able to make it for that one day, but overall I got the gist really in that 24 hours. And here's my big takeaway. Beyond their announcement of Alira, which is coming and is real, you can see momentum has built around their digital offerings like mobile, things like Origo, Mercury and their app store, and just the overall change of a culture that is happening within HID to be more of a software company that sells hardware than a hardware company that's got some software. And I'll give Sanjit Bardam, the guy that runs their digital group, credit here. Under the leadership of Bjorn and then also Sanjit, Bjorn's their CEO, they've really created a momentum that I think will only build and build and build. If you think about software, it compounds and it multiplies. And I've said this before and I'll say it here, that the group that Sanjit leads, in my opinion, is going to be the most important group within HID. And it's going to rival the PAX, which I do know right now drives a lot that goes in there. And it's not saying that PAX isn't good and all that nonsense. What I'm saying here is that I do believe that the digital side is going to be much greater and much bigger in the next 3 to 5 years. And when we look back, that group being as large as it is within our industry, if HID's group is large, it's going to make an impact on our industry and it's going to be influential. And I do think it also will show up in other companies. And here's why. Number one is scale. Like I said, it's much bigger. Number two, the NPV, the net present value of revenue that comes through software, is different than a single reader being sold, for instance. And also this importance of enablement beyond the cottage industry that we've been in. The PACs, frankly, have been a cottage industry, right? We talk about high security being cottage. The sort of main vein of our industry of distributing products and software have been through the PACs. And not a lot of them, some of them, and we've talked about those that are transforming and growing, PACs being physical access control systems, by the way. You have ones that are bringing up, but right now, the majority of it is cottage. And this enablement of other software providers and being a piece in an overall value proposition gives the software side a heck of a lot more scale. So I think this enablement side is turning it into mainstream and it's going to be bigger. For me, I got to use some new material. I called it 555. It was my presentation. I keynoted that on that Friday. It's where I looked at the first 5 years, the last 5 years, and the next 5 years for identity and access control. And my key takeaway from the presentation, besides the messaging clearly resonating by the feedback I got, but my biggest takeaway is that we're not only seeing a transition from legacy in our industry, this sort of transformation that's happening, but also from some tech partners. Their stuff isn't just new anymore for some of these people. They're more mature, they've got more adoption. And while, yes, there's some that are still jockeying for position, and there's some new ones that are coming in, and the market is shifting, I think we're starting to see those that have been for a while, two groups of those ones that have been around. You've got some that are scaling, and those that have been a good idea and that frankly aren't scaling anymore. So you're seeing also this new crop of companies that are building upon the work that the first movers did, and they're also using new technology and really challenging some things too. But it's nice to see some of these tech companies that are still considered relatively new, but actually we might even want to say some of them might be becoming more mature. It's pretty cool to see. So that's my overview of what I saw at HID. Great event, something I'm happy to go to every single year. If you have an opportunity to go, highly recommend it. It really has a pulse of a lot of organizations from all over. I met people from Australia to Europe to North America, South America, a lot of people. Let's shift gears now to news of the week. It's been really quiet on M&A. I don't know if you've noticed that, but in January, it hasn't been much at all that's gone on. So I thought what I would do is talk about 3 separate partnership announcements that we did this first week. We've been working on them since 2025 at the end, and we're really excited to bring them to 2026 in January so we can take the whole year to roll all of this out. So the three partnerships, I'm going to start first. We're partnering with DHI, which is also known as the Door Hardware Institute. These are really the companies that are working with Section 8, Section 28, within sort of how buildings are and products are specified into those buildings. Great group of people. The CEO over there, James, super nice guy. I'm interested in this because this is really where rubber meets the road in a lot of places, and you'll notice that being sort of a theme. But momentum is building there as well, that they're seeing this need in the transition from mechanical to electronic, and they see us as a good venue for them to be part of a community that we have that's online, but then also the information sharing, and frankly, them bringing also their expertise also into the fold. Excited to see. I'll be speaking at their event that's coming up in May in Nashville. We'll be doing a bunch of content. Their team's going to be joining online into the PhySec Collective, and there'll be a conversation that happens there. Super cool. Great, and thrilled to have them, and I look forward to seeing what builds from there. The next one is locksmiths. I've written and said I think locksmiths' value is up as we continue to see this evolution moving into more digital AI impacts on sort of roles that are within the industry. I think the ecosystem of locksmiths are only going to get stronger, but it's going to take the ones that see that opportunity and do something about it. And that's why I'm excited to announce that we have a partnership with the European Locksmith Federation, also known as ELF, which looks like it sounds. It works within the European Union. Then you have ALOA, which is the American US version of the Locksmith Federation that is here. Again, same type of idea. They're going to be coming onto the platform. Those that see value in the things that we're doing will engage online. Their voices will be heard. We'll be at the ALOA event. We're going to be presenting there. I presented at ELF prior. Hopefully we'll have another opportunity. Their events are awesome, by the way. Great community of people. These are the ones that see opportunity to move from mechanical to electronic. I also believe it moves the other way. This will give an opportunity for companies to message to the locksmith group that are out there of progressive locksmith. They need help in getting the message to them directly as well. And I can't wait to get involved. I want to thank Dave O'Toole on this one. That man's a legend. If you need a locksmith in anywhere across the world, he's the guy to call. He has been the chair of ELF for a long time and now is active with Aloha on the board there. So thanks to him. Thanks to Wayne over at Aloha. Thanks to Mary. Thank you to everybody within the ELF organization to have us do this collaboration. And last but not least, the other one is the Secure Building Council. This group's pretty awesome. Like I said, I'll support Paula in anything that she does. She's wonderful, does a really nice job. But even if you broaden out from just them, you've got an entire large group of people that are really doing some good work. And what I think is really the future of how you look at the built environment and everything that's going on with it, of this really like taking products and embedding them into the built environment. So whether you're an architect, an owner, an operator, this is how you can protect people and assets and do it with confidence. They have a certification program called SHIELD, which is a benchmarking system that they have to help understand if this building, think of it like almost you did in the LEED buildings of before. Same type of idea, but now for security and safety. Their group is coming on board into the PhySec Collective as well. We're going to also be doing a bunch of work with them in conversation. We did some work at IC East. They do an evening event. Hillary was there and she moderated what was going on. But I'm excited to see this group. I talk about them. These are serious people doing serious things, and I highly recommend you getting active with it as well. So those three announcements are awesome because they're larger groups and entities coming into the platform as the PhySec Collective, this water cooler where we have conversations and people engage. The more that gets larger and the more people that get in there, the better it is for everybody. So excited to have these groups, excited to be working with them. Thank you for the trust and confidence that, we're a great place to help with the digital transformation that's happening, and I look forward to getting involved. Real quick on some of the briefs and the security breakdown that's coming out. This is the first one we haven't yet, but brief 128 came out. This was really about Intersec Dubai. I was there. It was awesome. We had a thought leadership pavilion. It's called the Access Control Theater. One of the biggest shifts that I saw is access control is now a board level risk conversation. Resilience and Failure mode, cyber physical threats, and post-quantum readiness are no longer theoretical. Customers want clarity and standards now. It's also just, frankly, it's not an emerging market. It's not a mature market. It's somewhere like weird, like in between that, where you have what would be like mature market formations coupled with emerging market formations and needs to be treated that way. We did about 20 interviews. We had on stage 6 different companies. A lot of takeaways. Highly recommend that you take a look at that brief that went out. If you're not a member, sign up. You can get access to it. But it's just fundamentally in 12 months from being at Intersec last year, this year, that market has changed like no market I've seen before. Highly recommend you taking a look at it. Also, brief 129, Tony Dong. If you haven't met Tony, one of the smartest financial minds in our industry, he analyzed the strategic conditions under which investing in unprofitable companies can actually be rational and lucrative. He distinguishes between shitcos, as he calls it, which suffer from perpetual losses and poor management, and high potential firms that eventually achieve nonlinear growth. 2 specific pathways to success are identified within the brief. Businesses like Uber, which show a positive earning trajectory through improving unit economics, and biotech firms like CRISPR, which rely on asymmetrical catalysts and regulatory milestones. Ultimately, he argues that negative earnings are acceptable if they're paired with shrinking losses or a clear, event-driven path towards self-funding profitability. The framework helps investors navigate the gap between market perception and fundamental realities to find future market leaders. In the security industry, the most recent example of where negative earnings are acceptable, he says, is Verkada. Check it out. It's pretty insanely well written. Learned a ton from it. Thank you, Tony, for doing that. So, final thoughts. I wrote this week a lot about marketing, and it got a bunch of engagement throughout both LinkedIn and then also on Slack within the PhySec Collective. What I talked about is that there's a real reason our industry struggles with marketing and branding, and I thought about it. We've optimized our marketing and market teams to win locally with channel relationship, regional sales, making milk runs, local trade shows, golfing outings, field marketing, and all these sort of boots on the ground type of things that happen. Very transactional marketing. Frankly, no branding, but transactional tactics that are driving leads. That part works, and we're really good at it, frankly, and it's needed. But what most companies are not built to do is tell a coherent global story, like online. If you look at a product like LinkedIn, social media marketing tool, which is LinkedIn, that's a global story that is trying to be told there. And we show up, though, as a global message. The weird thing here, though, is to think about, instead of taking these sort of global marketing and polished corporate post, bland and generic messaging, all of which are carefully approved and legally sanitized. Frankly, it's a bunch of nonsense. You've got a problem, though. The platform rewards local relevancy in people, not faceless global posts. So we end up misaligning both sides, with companies optimized for local execution, trying to communicate globally, and platforms with global reach, but optimized for people and local proximity, being fed corporate noise. The real miss is obvious, and it's fixable. We need to leverage what our organizations and these platforms are actually good at. Real people telling real stories in the real markets. And we need to stop controlling every word from the headquarters, stop hiding behind logos and templates, and start empowering the people closest to the customers to tell good stories. Local voices scale better than global ones, frankly. Even online, it always has. And those are my thoughts. We'll continue to have this conversation. Join us online. I loved the engagement. We had 70 plus comments and a bunch online as well. The PhySec Collective, it's a great example of just how it works wonderfully. So thanks for all those who got involved. So lastly, we're going to be at IC West in the security event. They're right around the corner. At IC West, we'll be activating both in what they're calling the digital and identity pavilion area. It's in the back hall stage, a bunch of companies around it talking about digital and identity and trust. Awesome location. We got the startup pavilion. We'll be there. They've got this new experience center that they're putting on. We'll be activating it each. We're also going to be doing this year the breakfast. It's an industry breakfast. First day, Monday morning, 8 o'clock. We rented out all of Bouchon. We got a bunch of sponsors. We're going to be giving some of the proceeds will be going to FAST, so it's in support of the Foundation Advancing Security Technicians. Pretty awesome. Highly recommend you being involved in that. If you want to sponsor, let us know. If you want to be there, even better. First come, first serve. 300 people. 8 o'clock, Bouchon. At the security event, we got the X Forum, the stage. We got pods all around it. Great group of companies. We'll be activating there the whole time. Thought leadership, 20-some presentations throughout the day. Great show. We'll be doing the first night, a reception. We call it the Night of Access, Industry Night. We'll have 125 to 150 people. We got sponsors, food, drink, everything. Great sort of engagement, awesome way to network in downtown Birmingham. We rent out the Botanist. It's an awesome event. Look forward to seeing you there. Please let us know. All right. That's it for this week. Until then, I started with momentum and I'll end with momentum. What we, and when I say we, I mean you, me, Hillary, the entire community are building here is something special. It's real, it's big, it's influential, it's meaningful. And it's not just me, it's not just Hillary, it's us. It's all of us. And like many things, the more you engage, the more you get out of it. So keep pushing, keep engaging, and I'll see you next week. I'm Odess, and this is Secured.